Hello and welcome along to this FM19 Clyde FC challenge with me, Daniel. It's episode 4 and today we're coming towards the closing stretch of the SPFL season as we try to get close to title glory with Clyde and lead them up to Scottish League 1. It's the way we wanted to finish the season, so hopefully we'll be able to do that, but Edinburgh City are keeping close on our tails and it is going to be a very dramatic finish. We've got 2 big scorers in the league, as you can see, and we'll go and look at all the stats in the last couple of months in a minute. And we've actually mathematically managed to make this almost perfect. We've had a big game every 9 games. So our first game was reaching a quarter mark of the season. The last one, episode 3, was reaching a halfway point. And this one in episode 4 is the 3/4 mark. And hopefully we'll be winning the title tomorrow. Of course we could all throw it away by then. But I just want to thank everyone who's followed along with the series. A massive thank you for giving it a try, especially this late in the FM cycle. I really have been grateful for the support with it. And if you're new to the channel and looking forward to FM20, then please do subscribe for daily content from next week. As soon as the beta's out, we'll be starting our long-term one club story and our beta save, which is a 1-season challenge. Both of those we've announced the clubs for already, and you can find out who by selecting our FM20 playlist. That's in the eye above and ready to click on, so make sure you go back and catch up with those. Also a reminder that on Saturday we'll have the results of our vote for our second FM20 series. In our first plans video a few weeks back, there was a vote to choose between 2 different stories. It's neck and neck, and today's the last day you can vote, so do make sure you go and have your say. And of course, as always, if you are enjoying the series, please do put a thumbs up on the video. I really do greatly appreciate it, and I can't thank you enough for your continued support. But let's go and focus on the last couple of months with Clyde. We don't want to take too long pre-match today, as we're hoping we'll get our youth intake in the next week. So as you can see, we're still 6 points clear at the top. Ourselves in Edinburgh City won all of the last 7 or 8 games, so that's been a really big key feature for this to make sure the title race is interesting. And you can see we're playing them again today, so the gap could be reduced to just 3 points in a matter of 90 minutes time. So hopefully our side will put in a good performance and prevent that from happening. We could all but wrap up the title with a victory, as everyone else has really struggled. Peterhead remarkably down on 39 points now. I don't see a side underperforming so often. They've got some really good players and should be playing in a league above, but they've absolutely crumbled under the pressure this year. But there's some bad news we've got to go through first, and if we start on the transfers, you'll probably be able to predict it. David Goodwin is going off to the SPL. He's joining Livingston on a free at the end of the season. We tried desperately to keep him, but we couldn't afford the wages, so he is going to be moving back up the leagues. A brilliant player, and he's guided us towards promotion this year, so we certainly don't begrudge him the move. If we were staying here another year, it would of course put us off, but being a 1-season challenge, I'm not too worried. We've brought in a replacement who we'll go and meet in a moment, but of course they're not going to be at the same standard as him. So that's the one big disappointment off camera. If we go and have a look at the transfer history, you can see he's one of only 2 who left. The other one was Ali Love, which we'd already talked about in the last episode, a pre-agreed transfer to the Highland League. We brought 2 players in January as well. First was Josh Peters, the long-term replacement for Goodwin. We mentioned him in the last episode when we played Queen's Park, a really good striker, a pressing forward, exactly the same role and fits into our tactical shape. 2.5 star ability, 3.5 potential, and he played a few games while Goodwin was injured. So a really decent replacement for us, and hopefully he'll be able to contribute in the run-in. 2 goals in 7 appearances already, so we've certainly got no complaints about him. And in second is a new first choice goalkeeper, Connor Brennan, signed from Dumbarton, a 24-year-old Northern Irish under-21 international, 3-star ability, 4-star potential, a very clear upgrade from what we had before, and well within our wage budgets as well. He's only conceded 1 goal in his 3 games in the league, so he's certainly made a big difference, and we've kept that really strong defensive record, which he is going to be a very big part of. The one thing I do want to talk about is contracts. Aside from Goodwin, who obviously wouldn't sign a new deal, everyone else has been pretty eager to reduce their wages. We've been able to knock 20, 30, 40 quid a week off most of them, and it's allowed us to bring in that extra player or 2, and we've now got a squad that can compete at the top, and we are one of the best sides in the league on paper too. In terms of the schedule, as we mentioned, we've won every single league game off camera. You were with me last for the Queen's Park one before the new year. We beat Peterhead 5-1, which was probably the most important result. Tommy Caffrey with 4 goals, Goodwin picking up an injury there, but it didn't affect us in terms of league form. Peters came in and scored in both of his first 2. He was really important for us, although we did go out with a cup to Ross County, a top championship side, and we looked like shocking them for an hour. But as is so often the case in these cup ties, the lower league side just ran out of steam. We had to make a couple of changes due to injury and fitness, and it showed as we got towards the final stages. Unfortunately, Ross County were just too strong. A side we've obviously managed in FM18 as part of our long-term head coach story, so a team and club we're quite familiar with, and unfortunately they managed to beat us in that one. But we've got back to our usual solid defensive base in the last month, just 1 goal conceded in the last 4, and we've been scoring goals for fun in the last couple of months, something we weren't doing earlier in the season. We always show you the dynamics updates as well. The average team cohesion has just crept into the green, and the other 2 are looking good, so we're doing alright, and everyone seems to be on board with the way we're approaching things. So in terms of the running, I'm fairly confident. 9 games to go, and if we win this one, it could put us in an unassailable position. So I'm really hoping we'll be able to do that, so we can come back and have a party in tomorrow's one. So we're going to go and get into the game pretty quickly. As we said, after the game, we want to see what our youth intake is. In terms of facilities, we've got brilliant ones here. Decent youth facilities, but more importantly, a good youth recruitment. A couple of months ago, that was well established. It is dropping down, but it's still decent for this level. Fairly basic in the 4th tier of Scottish football, a semi-pro club. We really can't complain at the standard of it, and if we can just get 1 gem, it would finish the series in style, and I'd like you to be able to see him play in tomorrow's episode. But let's go and get into the game against Edinburgh City, our closest rivals and only title challengers. They've got 1 player out with a long-term injury, but aside from that, both squads have got a full complement. So for us, we're playing exactly the same tactic as before. Goodwin's back in into fitness now. The only change from the last episode, I think, was Connor Brennan in goal. And of course, our old backup keeper, Curry's on the move. He's in the backup team now, and we let 1 out of the under-23s go permanently. So we managed to bring in a little bit of money for them, if only in terms of the wage bill. And we've got a slightly stronger substitutes bench than before, so everything's looking pretty rosy. So we're going to go and get into this game against Edinburgh City, and hopefully we'll be able to put in another sizzling display. It's a 4-4-2 for Edinburgh. They've of course been playing this formation all year, and despite being really close title rivals for us, we've actually really overpowered them in our 2 matches, so I'm hoping we'll be able to do that for a 3rd time today as we try to go out and prove a point. It's becoming every director of football and assistant manager's favourite team talk. Early this season we didn't have it too much, but those of you that follow the Torquay save will remember Stuart Jelling used to do it every single week, and it always got pretty positive results, to be fair, so who am I to argue with the process? It's Booth in the centre circle to McStay. Just a minute on the clock and we're already dominating possession. Stuart finds Cogill on the halfway line. Of course, we're still on key highlights, so we hope this will be a good chance. McStay finds Caffrey on the right. He's developing brilliantly, and as part of our youth intake review, we will look at some of the improvements to current players. Ross Booth being one of them, of course, as the 16-year-old, and there's plenty of other youngsters on loan who are really starting to impress with their training skills. Well, 5 minutes to the break and we're back for a good Willie free kick. We've barely had a shot on target in this half. I'm just going to drop to a balanced mentality just because it's worked in a couple of the other games we got overrun, and hopefully we'll respond with a goal here, although the corner is hacked away with pinball in the area. It's Stuart on the left hand side with a free kick though, straight back with another attacking highlight, though Edinburgh City managed to get it away on the right, Breen bringing it forward to McIver. He's running down the line unopposed, finds Diver a centre forward, Green into Bell on a centre circle. We're just not quite getting enough pressure on the ball here, and although they've got a pretty decent side, we'd be expecting to defend a bit better than this. Booth combines with the right back Miller to clear, but eventually they're still pressing forward. Taylor gets it from another poor clearance, into Cogill who heads away. Diver smashes the post on the rebound. The keeper didn't really react to that one, but we survive and it's going to be 0-0 at half time. 0-0 then here. It's been a pretty even game, not too much in it. We went about 35 minutes without a key highlight. We've said we're disappointed and fired up most of the lads, again following the assistant's recommendation before we get into the second half. We've got a couple more staff members to meet after the game, not particularly key ones, which is why we didn't focus on them, but a few nervous and apprehensive players out there, and that's a bit of a worry. Is it the title race that's worrying them? Are they getting a little bit nervous or cracking towards the finish line? Something that we've not been in a position transitioning with this club. 20 minutes to go and we've seen no more highlights, so I've got to go and make some changes. Callum Moore's apprehensive, so Ray Grant's on for him, and Billy Gilmore, the experienced Pro 2, he'll be replaced by Mark Lamont. We'll give it 5 more minutes before making another change. We can either bring Peters on as the striker or take Ross Booth off, who's struggling. A header over the bar from Edinburgh City, and we are going to try and go back to a positive mentality. Just under 10 minutes left and I've got to make the change. Tommy Caffrey's nervous, but I'm not taking him off. Robbie Booth's going to be replaced by Cudahy, and fingers crossed it'll make the difference. Just slightly more experience, and he has played a lot of games this year, so I'm hoping it'll be a seamless transition and just create that one more chance. But we've got 20 seconds left and we've not seen anything happening, and it does reflect Edinburgh City actually. They've got really strong players in defence, and Finlayson has to clear away for us as well, as we're hanging on for dear life here. We'll certainly take the 0-0, the second time we've had to do so on camera this season. We're playing the top sides, we expect them to be tight, and most importantly in this one, the lads are fired up, but we keep a draw, and the 6-point gap at the top is maintained. Just 9 more games to go, 1 round of fixtures against all of these guys, and it really is looking pretty good for us at the moment. 6 points clear with the last round of fixtures to come. So hopefully we'll keep that gap to Edinburgh City, but of course we want to focus on a bit more today. The honours were even and we weren't particularly good, but the most important thing is we avoided defeat. Don't forget we're still going for that invincible record. 22 wins, now 5 draws, no defeats for the side this year, and what an achievement that would be in the challenge. Certainly something we didn't expect at the start. Let's go and have a look at the new staff members very quickly, the couple that we need to meet and introduce. Rather excitingly for this place, it's a sports scientist in Alex Armstrong. Not a very good one, but his mental stats are excellent. The 54-year-old Englishman has been around in non-league English football, so hopefully he'll be an asset for us. And then a data analyst in Andy Moore. He's not a particularly good one, but again a young Scot, just 4 across the board for his attributes, but it gives us someone to work with, something we wouldn't normally have. He's here on a contract for the rest of the season, whereas Armstrong's here for the next year as well. So as promised, I'm going to try and skip through to Youth Intake Day, and we'll be back in a moment to meet the latest crop of youngsters. Well, we're back for Youth Intake Day, and look what it is. They're going to make us regret selecting this as a one-season challenge. The so-called golden generation in the first year. But let's quickly get off a couple of headline bits of news. Michael Miller, the August signing from last year. He's the latest player to sign on for another season. £50 off his wage bill every week, and that's given us a little bit more leeway. As a result, we've brought in an experienced winger on trial. Danny Galbraith, who played for Hibs for absolutely years. Came through at United, if I remember rightly, and he's had some spells in the lower leagues of England. 5 appearances for our title rivals Edinburgh City this year, but then has got released from the club, and he's on trial with us for a week. I just want to have that more defensive option on the left wing, so we can go to a more symmetrical shape, particularly if we need it in the last few weeks. He's ranked as 2-star ability at the moment, so we might just offer him a deal for the year. He does want a couple of £100 a week when we last checked, but that should be worth it if it gets us the title. So we're going to go back to this youth intake now, and the golden generation deserves a proper look. It may just be because the potential ability is so low in this team, but thinking that we have the players with the likes of Goodwin and Finlayson, they must be decent players to be ranked as 5-star potential. They aren't. There's 2 with 4.5 star and 1 with 3.5 as well. So 3 really strong players in this intake, and let's go and meet all 3 of them. So I think we'll go in reverse order. We've got Lee Winters first, who's 1.5 star ability, 3.5 potential. He's a target man who could be the same sort of standard as Peters, and there's certainly no shame in that. So let's have a look at his attributes, and I'll tell you what, they're pretty decent in the key areas. 9 for finishing, 10 for heading, 8 for composure. He's got a decent personality, and he's got strength and a decent jump as well, and he's already 5'11" at 15. So I think he's going to be a decent player for the club. Of course, we're never going to get to find out, but certainly one we'd try to work with if we were staying. He is a good player who can play in midfield too. Then on to the big 2, the 4.5 star potentials. First is Paul Monroe. He's another striker, but this time a poacher. Has 1 star of ability already. Let's see what he's ranked like. Oh, he's the perfect type of striker. 14 finishing, 12 heading. He can dribble, he's quick off the mark. Not got the composure, which is something we'd have to work on, but his off the ball movement's pretty good as well. so a natural replacement for Caffrey in the future, who I doubt we'd be able to keep on loan anyway. So a really good player coming through at Clyde, and they've certainly got a decent little intake here. And then last but not least, 1.5 star ability, 4.5 potential, a centre half by the name of Panagon. Let's take a look at him. A little bit underwhelming, I guess I would say. There seems to be a problem with centre half regens. The heading ability is not normally very good. Physically he's okay across the board. Again, a good personality. That's something the last striker Monroe didn't have actually. He wasn't the best in terms of character. Again, a struggling for composure and concentration. Mentally that will improve at just 15, but technically he looks a decent centre half, and I'm sure he's got a very big potential. So a really good intake for them, and whoever takes on Clyde next year is going to have a really good young squad to work with, and it just bolsters that squad a bit towards the end of the season. We'll try and give 1 or 2 of them a debut if we can. But a really nice note to finish the episode on, and our penultimate one of the season. A really fantastic spell we've had with Clyde, and getting that decent result to keep the gap to 6 points, and then getting this youth intake. There's good news all across the board here, and I really can't wait to try and win the title. So hopefully we'll be able to see it over the line. We've got Edinburgh City again in 5 or 6 matches time, and I hope by that stage we'll have a chance to win the title. If we do, we'll come back for that one. If not, we'll be back for the first opportunity we get to win it, and hopefully we'll be able to go invincible as well. So you might well get a double header to finish tomorrow. If not, we'll focus on winning the League Two title. But if you did enjoy this episode and another tightly fought encounter against a title rival, please do put a thumbs up on the video. Let me know what you thought of the youth intake as well. What would you do with the players that have come in? And who do you think is the best hope for the club? Of course we're going to have to guess as we won't get to see it. A massive thank you again to everyone that's supporting the series. If you are looking forward to FM20, please do subscribe to the channel for daily content. As soon as the beta's released, we'll start our long-term story 5 days a week, and our beta save a 1 season challenge. That one will run on the other 2 days. So content every day from Football Manager on the channel, as well as our Cricket 19 career twice a week. But a massive thanks for watching this one, and your continued support of the series as always. I really do appreciate it, and I hope to see you next time for the final episode in this mini-series as we try to win the Scottish League Two title.